would be to pray. Our nation needs more prayer and more worship, and that's how things overcome. But for us, look, it's just the humility, as Jenny has just said, of leadership. That's so important to me, and it's to you, Robert, one of my ministers is here tonight with us. That humility of leadership, the wisdom to see what he can see, and to move towards that, and to have that grace. Grace is amazing. It is. Someone should write a song about that.
Can I ask a couple more questions?
Sure.
So, in terms of the Church of Australia, obviously the church is diverse, many denominations, many movements, many different faces, hopefully with Jesus in the centre. What do you feel about the place of the church in Australia now, with so much social change, so many things, not even so many societal things that are turning so quickly? So, what would you say to the church, pastors, to leaders?
It's difficult. I'm not a pastor. I'm a Prime Minister. And you'll hear lots of things from lots of people this week. What my request would be is love, and have your congregations reach out and love those around them. You know, there's a lot of talk about our freedoms as Christians in this country, and they should be protected. Australia is a free country, and there's nothing more fundamental than the freedom of belief, whatever that belief might be. Whether you have one or you don't. It might be of a different religion, it might be a different faith, but the freedom to believe is so important. And that needs to be nourished and it needs to be protected. But what this country needs more than that is the love of God. And I remember when I was young, Jen and I, when we went to a Christian Brethren church, when we were sort of growing up in our teen years, and open Brethren, Jen said. But I remember when we'd heard the stories about the missionaries in Soviet Russia, and when there were Christians under persecution, you didn't hear the stories that they were complaining about their rights. They were just loving in those situations, and they were out there for God, and that was their response. This country needs more love, less judgment.
I guess you just went there. I was going to ask you about freedom of religion, and without you having to, give policy or anything. But do you believe that it will be secured for the churches to feel safe in terms of their beliefs and
Yeah, I do. And this is one of the things that I've felt passionately about since I first went into Parliament 12 years ago. I talked about it in the first speech I ever gave there. And yeah, of course, we'll do what we must do from a legislative point of view in the law. But what I think is great, and I want to thank everyone, it doesn't matter how you voted, as Brian said, I want to thank everyone here, outside of here, for their prayers. It didn't matter where Jenny and I went in the country, that someone come up to us and they'd talk about how they've been praying for us, people were fasting for us. Margaret Court, I remember, who got an email from Margaret Court? There's hundreds of thousands of people around the country just asking people to pray. It was a humble call to prayer, and we appreciate that. But what all that boils down to, I think, is a culture in this country. It's not the laws that makes freedom of religion work. It's the culture that accepts it. So I speak about my faith with Jenny because I want everyone in this place to feel comfortable about talking their faith in this country. It's not a political agenda, it's just who we are, it's who you are, and wherever you are, be who God made you.
One more thing, the last one. Mrs. Prime Minister's allowed to talk to? Come on, just say hi. Just say hi.
Oh, hello everybody. Look, I'd just like to say that, it's an honour to be up here in the middle of Hillsong Conference, and we have been coming a long time, and we used to attend Waterloo congregation. But what I'd like to say is that nothing is impossible for God. Nothing is impossible. Sometimes you find yourself in a place where you never thought you would be, and that is me. It wasn't my intention. I said to Bobby before, I didn't choose this. Scott chose this. And I chose Scott, so here I am in the middle of all of this. But that's all I like.
Well, again, thanks so much for being here, and I think on behalf of all the churches in Australia, as much as I can and am able to, I just want to guarantee you that we will be praying for you, and praying for you not just now but consistently. No doubt it's a vexing and a challenging job, but God's great people.